they need to be able to criticize both sides fairly. I feel like that's one issue we have right now, is we're scared to criticize Israel, which is understandable because Israel does not have many allies, and as their one strongest ally, we want to show them that we support them. But I feel like if we truly want to support them, we will give them criticism and say, this is going to be better for you. It might not seem like it right now, and it might seem like we're not doing the right thing for you, or that we're favoring the other side. But we need to be able to be strong and say, you can't do this and get away with it. We can't support this. We won't fund this. But also, we need to start funding more operations in Palestine, humanitarian mainly, because the living situations there are pretty bad. Just sort of spread our support equally between the two, because if we don't, favoring one side is going to keep this attitude of conflict between the two, because it'll always be, oh, they're favored by America, then we don't like America because they don't favor us, and vice versa. So I feel like the US should take a more diplomatic role and less we support Israel blindly, because that's just not acceptable to either side. It's not fair to either side. It's not doing Israel any justice, and it's definitely not doing the Palestinians any justice.
I don't see that they've done anything. 7 presidents could not resolve. This president wants to, but it is very difficult since the U.S. has backed Israel in arms and in policy for 6 years. So I don't know how he can do that. They don't obey any UN resolution. So you tell me, what would you do? You want this president to do that, but they won't, in this country, they won't let him. I don't believe. I think it's a hard thing for him. It takes courage. You may lose something when you have that courage. Courage demands sacrifice. I'm not sure that we're ready for that yet in this country. I don't know. I wish to obey any.
There's actually a community in Israel that is a coexistence of Israeli Jews and Palestinian Arabs, and they live peacefully, and it's really remarkable how they've done this, but it proves that it can be done, and it's done because they've solved their differences. They understand each other's differences, but they also respect them, and they base their foundations of relationships on the similarities that they share, which is incredibly crucial, I think, to finding a solution to this whole issue.
Seeds of Peace is a camp in Maine, and it's an international coexistence camp for conflict groups. So they have Israelis and Palestinians and Indians and Pakistanis, and another section for Greeks and Cypriots. And the kids, it's freshman age students, and they're elected or brought there by their governments, sent there by their governments. And they all live in cabins together, and they do activities together. And then for an hour or two every day, they have breakout sessions where they do mediation and conflict resolution, and are able to talk about the problems that are going on in their country and how they each feel about it, and really practice listening to one another and trying to put themselves in the other shoes, and hopefully start bridging the gap towards peace and figuring out what possible solutions are. Start bridging the gap.
I worked in high school, and I continue to do some work with a company called No Sweat Apparel. And what it is basically is it's a clothing company, and the factory is based in the West Bank of Palestine. And what's so unique about it is that in the factory, Muslims, Jews, and Christians work alongside. The factory is owned by Christians, and there are Jewish and Muslim workers working in the factory, and unlike many Middle Eastern countries, and especially unlike any other Palestinian companies, the workers have health benefits. They work in very safe environments, very clean environments, and it is one of the few things that the Israeli and Palestinian governments have agreed on openly. And what I do for that company is I distribute the apparel and clothing products, and here in the U.S. and I educate kids. When I was back home in Massachusetts, I went to high schools and colleges and spoke about the goal of no sweat apparel. I went to my mosque. My friend and I went to his temple, his Jewish temple. By the way, my friend is Jewish. My best friend back then is Jewish, and so we kind of did a Jewish Muslim pair to promote the ideals of no sweat. But even just taking the whole religion benefit, the religion out of it, it's just a great company. It helps. It brings, it's a start of something good in Palestine. Something that could be happening all over, as you may know, is run by.
When you tell a very large group of people that regardless of what you've chosen, the world is still not going to listen, they feel like they have nothing left, and they've done their best and they've done what the world has asked of them, and when it's still not accepted, it's just, you need to tell the Palestinian people that they do have a state and they do have sovereignty and they do have the right to choose their own leaders, and that these leaders will be respected and these leaders will be seen as such, and the rest of the world will communicate with them and hopefully be able to interact with them.
I think in the end it's a matter of resources, and so a lot of the problems that are occurring in Palestine right now are because they don't have access. A lot of people don't have access to resources. And the people that are providing those resources are organizations like Hamas or Fatah, and so they're supporting terrorist organizations because they're the ones that are giving them, a place to stay or food or extra blankets or water, things like that. And so people might. They don't necessarily believe in the political ideology of a terrorist organization like Hamas, but they just need those resources, so they'll support whoever they need to put in power in order to get those. And I think that the U.S. could play a role in trying to get more resources like that.
Many of the people we interviewed talked about different individual efforts that are going on to help solve the Arab-Israeli crisis. And a lot of the interviewees thought that individual effort was a way to create peace, and it was one of the roads that could lead to peace. And I think we agree.
Definitely. Change begins. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first one. And with regard to the two-state versus a one-state solution, we found that most of the people we talked to supported a two-state solution, and we feel that a huge part in what forms their opinions is the stance of the government. We feel that in their opinion, it is so entrenched in their minds that the governments, that is the Israeli government and the US government, are pro a two-state solution. So the idea of a one-state solution is infeasible, therefore it is better to work towards something that can be achieved. Even though a two-state solution, a one-state solution might be idealistic, but a two-state solution is more realistic.
And the one person who adamantly supported a one-state solution was very hopeful and idealistic, and believed that if individuals believed it was possible, she thought that's how it would come to fruition, through individual belief. But everyone who supported a two-state solution almost expressed a sense of helplessness, whereas a one-state solution just wasn't possible anymore.
So that was it. We hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun doing it, and I have learned a lot more than I could ever have hoped to.
Yeah. And every individual has so many opinions, and it's interesting how they're all formed from the various experiences they've had personally, and how the combination of family and media and travel, education all go into forming someone's opinion on an issue. Okay. Yes. Yeah.